Hello, my name is Joana. I'm Portuguese and I'm an alumni at the Masters of Imagineering at NHTV. My thesis, it's called Make a Wish, and I explored the role of funeral planning in improving one's attitude towards death and dying. The why. Well, I come from a family of funeral business, and throughout the Imagineering program, I always wondered, okay, it can be applied to any kind of organization, but what about a funeral theme? Is it possible? So after discussing it together with my colleagues, the other alumni, and my coach, we thought about giving it a shot and accepting the challenge, and yeah, I ended up making the thesis. The application company. Well, I didn't develop my thesis directly to an application company. I'd rather have a more abstract approach to the theme so that it can be applicable to the industry in general. The process. So, during the data collection, I had to go back to Portugal because I applied my expertise to the Portuguese market, which is actually not very innovative, so it was more of a challenge than if I had done it here in Holland. And then I brought my data back to Holland and I analyzed it with the help of the other alumni and my coach. Okay, so the problem statement of my thesis, I divided it into 4 steps so that it's easier for you to understand. The first step is death is a taboo in Portuguese society. I would even dare to say that it's not only in Portuguese society but applicable to other societies. Step 2, as a consequence, the funerary business is marginalized, so it's not seen as a normal business as a lawyer, officer, or a doctor would be. The services offered by the funerary agency are focused on the funeral planning itself. So if you'd like to go to the agency in an occasion that your beloved one isn't dead yet, you wouldn't have a service that you could request. And that creates a not healthy communication between the agency and the potential client. Because the only interaction there is during a very sensitive moment, a grieving moment. So my research questions. I have a main research question, which is, can one's attitude towards death and dying be improved by the reimagination of the funeral planning procedure? And to get to that final question, I had 3 more questions that I tried to answer to throughout the research. So the first is, why do individuals avoid talking about death and dying? What is the role of the funerary agencies in coping with death and dying? And what are the benefits of having open dialogue about death and dying? The research objectives were to reframe the process of funeral planning into a constructive process that increases well-being, to raise people's awareness of mortality, and to create knowledge that can be applied to the funerary agencies to increase well-being in society in general. My methodology. So my theoretical background is social constructionism. Why? Because the funeral planning procedure it's not that something that was imposed to society, it's something that society created by themselves. And it has been accepted, and that's how the business adapted to the beliefs of the society in general. So for data collection, I use semi-structured interviews because when approaching someone towards such sensitive topic, if I had a very structured transcript for my interview, I might lose very important information that the respondents could give me. I also used creative sessions to include different perspectives of professionals of different areas of expertise, and I also used participant observation, during which I spent 15 working days working as a completely normal funerary agent in Portugal. Regarding the data analysis, I use social poetics because sometimes people, when talking about such sensitive topics, they tend to project their experiences in myself, for example, and to use metaphors and storytelling and narratives, and I had to look to it very carefully to extract the real meaning of what people were saying. My recommendations to the industry. So I divide into 7 steps. I will only briefly tell you what they consist in. So I advise the industry to take into consideration that the potential market for the upcoming 10 years is very likely to be religious and conservative. However, don't be afraid to approach the highly critical seniors. I also advise them to innovate with the younger in mind, to offer low-cost solutions and possibility to pay in installments, to encourage the population to live a fully and healthy life, to get open up for dialogue, and to use the space. By space, I mean the space of the agency itself, its design, the design of the cemeteries, the design of the paths during the funerals, to reimagine their image. And thank you. If you would like to know more about my research, my thesis is available on NHTV, please request it.